The Fresh Fiction Podcast is brought to you by REVELL and BETHANY House, publishers of A Defense of Honor by Kristi Ann Hunter. Kristi joined me today to talk about A Defense of Honor, the challenges of finishing that first book after having a graveyard of unfinished books, the ease of slipping into Regency England as a storyteller, and creating the perfect costumes for an upcoming historical romance writers conference this fall. If you love what you hear, don't forget to subscribe to the Fresh Fiction Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, or any of your other favorite podcast apps. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram by following @RealVixen. I love talking with Kristi today so much, so I hope you really enjoy our conversation. And welcome back to the Fresh Fiction Podcast. I'm now joined with Kristi Ann Hunter, the author of the new book, A Defense of Honor. Kristi, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm happy to be here.
We were just talking before we started recording about how you have a lot of travel coming up in the fall. Is that one of the more fun parts of your job, is kind of getting to go to these different events and connect with readers?
I love when I get to be face-to-face with readers because I spend so much time just me and my computer screen and all the imaginary people in my head. So it's so much fun to get to go out and just meet with readers who get to love your books and enjoy your books. And they don't get to see all the angst and all the long days of typing and everything. They just get to love the finished product. So it really helps re-energize me to get to be with them and see how much they enjoy reading.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts too, is getting to go to different conferences. And now that we're kind of entering conference season, it's so exciting. I just love meeting with authors and readers too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to a couple of writers' conventions, but I'm really looking forward to going to the Historic Romance Retreat and meeting with readers in September.
Yeah, you were saying this is your first time going. Previously, it had been in Spokane, and this year it's actually moving to California. Is that correct?
Yes, it's going to be in California at the Mission Inn, and so I've seen pictures. It's beautiful, and I'm getting my costumes ready.
Oh my
so
goodness,
that
you're going to wear your costumes?
Oh yes, I'm going to wear my costumes. I've got a Regency dress to wear, of course, and I have a flapper dress that I'm going to be wearing for Speakeasy night. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's so cool. Did you get them commissioned, or are you making them yourself?
My mom made them.
What? That's so cool.
Yeah. So my mom made them, and so they're custom fitted, so that's always nice.
Yes, absolutely. You're like, they're for me, and they fit my body, and it's perfect.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So your mom's a seamstress, or is she just, she's just always kind of made clothes?
Well, no, she hates making clothes. She loves sewing everything else, but she hates making clothes, but she does it for me.
Oh, that's so sweet. Do you have any sisters or brothers?
I have a brother.
Okay. I was going to say, because it's nice. She probably likes spoiling you that way.
Yes. So I don't think he's ever asked her to sew anything for him.
Yeah.
I think that's just me. Although I do think she made him curtains.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
That's so cool. I love it must be really nice to have a handy mom.
It is. It's very nice. She has all the craft skills. I do not. So I get to turn to her.
Well, the good thing is that you are still an artist because you're a writer. How did you first get into writing?
Writing sort of came in a bit of a backdoor for me. It was always just kind of something. I loved books from as long as I can remember. There's always been books. But I actually was a little more technical in school, I guess. It was very, very good in math, science. But whenever there was a project that had a creative writing element option, I always took it. And so I always took make the journal for the character project, or, what happened at the end of the book, continue the story. I always took that project because that was so much more interesting to me to take that project.
Yeah.
And but then I went to Georgia Tech and kind of left that behind. Spent 10 years doing corporate business systems, information technology, data mining sort of things. And then I had children and decided to stay home with them and had the time to let creativity flow again, and started writing and entering contests, and finally got found through a contest and the rest, as they say, is history.
That's so cool. That's really, I love I hear that story a lot about a lot of moms who stayed home with their kiddos and then had that time to become a writer and really were searching for that creative outlet, excuse me. And then it turns into this career. And were you kind of expecting to have a writing career, or were you just kind of like, I'm writing to enjoy this for myself and then maybe something will come from it?
It started off kind of just to see if I could do it.
Okay.
Almost, because I've always tried. I have a graveyard of beginnings of books since I was a teenager.
Sure.
So it was one of those things of just let me see if I can actually finish one. And then once I did, it was kind of like, okay, now I'm going to try to make this a career. I finished this. I can do this. So I want to make it a career now. It's something I can do from home and still be with my kids.
That's fantastic. Well, and so A Noble Masquerade was your first one, correct? And that was the first also in the Hawthorne house. How far within your sort of trying to write was that book found, or was that like the first one you were working on and just kind of worked until it kind of became this full-bodied piece?
Well, there was actually a story before A Noble Masquerade. It turned into a novella that's called A Lady of Esteem. You can get it. It's a free e-novella. And that was actually the first story I wrote. And I just kept rewriting that one. I think I has 10 different versions on my computer somewhere until I finally said, I'm going to put that aside and move on to the next story in the idea of a series that I had. And that is what became A Noble Masquerade. And then we went back and picked up the old story and kind of reworked it into a novella so that everyone could have that early part of the story and lead into the series. But that first story, I just kind of hung on to it with a death grip and just kept rewriting it until I figured out how to write.
Well, it's good too that it was a short story and not a fully, a full book at that point.
But it had been at one point. It had been everywhere from 40,000 words to 90,000 words and everywhere in between. It was lots of different versions and lots of experiments and me learning how to write.
Yeah.
With that book.
Well, and that's, what they always say is the best way of learning is to just throw yourself into it and do it.
Absolutely. You learn much more by doing it than you do just by listening to other people talk about it. Absolutely.
Well, and so you've always written historical fiction. Was that your favorite genre to read, or is that just where your voice fit?
It was my favorite genre to imagine.
Okay.
I love reading all over the place. But I guess because it was more of an escape, it was the one I would like to sit and make up stories for and imagine, because it was completely different than my current life. And so that's where the first stories started coming from. When I started putting them together, it was easier to imagine something completely different than what I have. And I love Regency England. I've always loved Regency England. Half my bookshelf is books set in Regency England. So that was an easy world to slip into.
Yeah. And had you had a chance before you started writing, had you been to London, and have you had a chance to go since you started writing?
I did have a chance to go to London as a teenager, but I have not had a chance to go back since I started writing. So that's definitely on my short list to do, because I would go to different places now as a writer than I did as just a tourist checking out London. So yeah. I definitely want to get back to England very soon.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, I imagine, to be even able to take your books there and say, like, oh, these are the places my books are based in.
Yes, Google Maps is lovely because I can go walk down the street and kind of look at the buildings and things, but it would be nice to do it myself.
So with A Defense of Honor, which is the first in your new Haven Manor series, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the book.
So this book it's about a young woman who, well, I guess she's not so young by Regency standards. She's in her low 30s. So by Regency standards, she's a little older. But she has... life has not been very kind to her. She's had some consequences from some decisions that have made her kind of take some other paths in life. And she's trying to make the best of that by helping other women not get stuck in the same places that she's been stuck. And she gets a little bit misguided in her attempts to help them, and she runs across a guy who has always had a really nice life, but he wants more. He wants there to be purpose. And so between the two of them, they kind of manage to become better together. And I think that is what true partnership is in life, where they can accomplish more together than they could apart.
For sure.
So they both are trying to find a purpose and try to help people and be more. And they provide the missing piece for the other, so that together they can do really great things.
So with the romantic elements of the book, which I always enjoy because I love the character development and how you just see the depth of people based on who they fall in love with and how love works for them in their lives. How do you sort of decide the right character, the right partner for your characters, but then also with something like with Kit and Graham, that they really are much better at completing each other and are better together than they are apart?
I think when I'm trying to come up with the characters, I always look for each half of the couple to bring what the other half is missing. Mm-hmm. So in this case, Kit is so focused on her purpose that she has become completely mired and serious, and everything is like life or death. And Graham brings a bit of fun and joy back into her life.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, she helps him see where there are really serious moments that need a lot of care and work, but he helps her see the joy in life as well. And I think when a couple comes together and they can trust each other enough to grow together, that makes a really strong love.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. And that's just always so, for as a reader, it's just, I don't know, it's always such a special, magical moment to be able to get to watch something like that unfold in front of us.
It is. It's so nice because it's so hard to open up to the people when you meet somebody new, and it's kind of like, when do you decide that you can trust them mm-hmm. with those inner parts of you that are so vulnerable? And taking that journey with someone else lets you not just enjoy their story, but also learn stuff about yourself on the way too.
Yeah. Do you hear that a lot from readers, that they kind of learn something after they've read their books about themselves?
I do. I get lots of emails from people who are like, I really related to this moment when she realized this, and it made me see this other thing. And I always sit there and go, wow, I didn't even know I put that in there, but good.
That was always my favorite thing in high school and like taking English classes in college and stuff, and like the critics or the readers would get into the books and they would see something that I always imagine it's like the author probably just like put that together and had no idea what they were doing. And yes. Then somebody sees like a deeper meaning in the words, it must be really special for you as an author to have that response back from your readers as well.
Oh, it completely is. When people see things, because everybody brings their own views to the table when they read a book, they have their own life experiences that they see things through. And so they'll, just a turn of phrase or an action, they'll see it so differently than the way I did when I wrote it. And I think that is such a wonderful thing about taking a journey with these characters, is you get to see it. It's a little bit of a different experience for every reader, mm-hmm. which is really cool, really, really personal.
Yeah, for sure. And with Kit and Graham being the opening couple for this new series, what have you imagined for the stories that you're going to be telling in the rest of the series?
For the whole series, there's kind of a running theme through the whole series of being able to forgive yourself for the past and realize that you still have worth and purpose, and you're still loved even if you mess up. Because I think so many times we mess up in life and we will just think that has ruined us, that we're not lovable or we're not worthy or we are just too broken because we've made a poor choice or we've made a mistake or we've stumbled somewhere along the way. And that's really hard for us to live with sometimes, the guilt or the shame that comes with that mistake. And so that's kind of a running theme through the whole 3 books, is looking at that from different angles. Each of the 3 women have different pasts that they are having to come to terms with. And so that's going to change how they look at that and what they have to do. But that's kind of the running theme through the whole series.
I think that that's something that, again, readers are easily going to identify with that.
Yes, I think because everybody has messed up.
Yeah.
There's nobody that hasn't made a mistake somewhere in life. So I think it's something that everybody can relate to.
For sure. And forgiveness coming from your community as well as yourself is so important.
Yes, because I think we sometimes forgiving ourselves is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because we know every little horrible thing we've ever done, and it just sits there. That's what we sit there and think about at night. And so forgiving ourselves is sometimes the hardest part of moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of forgiveness, when we have our free time and we forgive ourselves for not working and taking a moment to enjoy some pop culture, I'm curious to know from you what you have been reading, watching, and listening to recently.
Okay. Well, listening to, I always have music on. There's constantly music at our house. I write by it. I write to movie soundtracks. I can't write to words, but movie soundtracks are playing when I'm writing. We have classical music playing when my kids are doing homework. And it's very eclectic. I have an inspiration playlist for every book that I'm writing because I plot to music and everything. And I think the book I'm working on right now, it's got Casting Crowns is in there, but also like Sawyer Brown and the Cranberries and Pink. So it's a very wide variety.
Very eclectic. I love that.
I think right now I've been listening to an album called Lifer by Mercy Me, has been playing a lot at our house, and a fairly new group called Bon Ray. So that's what I'm listening to right now. What was the other one? Reading?
Reading, yep.
Reading. Well, I've done a lot of contest reading lately, so I can't talk about that.
Okay, yep. You can just skip right past it.
But the books I've been reading otherwise, it's getting kind of hot in Georgia, so I did kind of take a little Christmas trip, and I read some Christmas novellas recently by Melissa Tagg, so I could kind of go visit the snow.
Oh, that's such a brilliant idea.
Instead of all the heat outside, because it's starting to hit the 90s here. So I did just read her Christmas collection. It's some novellas, and it's entitled Enchanted. So I went and visited the snow, and I'm about to start Karen Whittemeyer's new book, More Than Meets the Eye, which came out with the Defense of Honor. They share a book birthday. So so I kind of figured that was a good way to celebrate.
Yep, absolutely. Good company.
Yes.
And then and watching. If you watch
watching.
TV or movies.
I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do like movies and I like documentaries. I'm a little behind. I love the Marvel movies, but I'm a little behind. We just managed to watch Thor Ragnarok, so I'm way behind. But I did just watch that, in fact, just this past weekend, and enjoyed it. But I like a cheesy rom-com. I actually like little teeny bopper flicks. But all of those are way behind too, because by the time the kids get to bed, we're like ready to hit the bed.
Right.
So, so I see a lot of Inspector Gadget, and I see a lot of that with the kids in the house. But when it's time for us to watch TV, it's usually like a stand-up comic or something that's shorter, like that we can get off Netflix.
For sure. I feel the same way. I'm always so like time constrained, and so I watch a lot more comedies now because you can get like 2 or 3 episodes done in the same time period that you'd watch one episode of a drama.
Yes. So we don't have cable, so it's got to be on Netflix. You got to find it on Netflix. So we're behind. We're always behind because it takes about a year or 2 for things to show up on Netflix.
For sure. Yeah.
So
they have so much of their original content too, which is really cool. I just saw Ibiza, which was like a little rom-com that they put out a couple weeks ago, and it was really cute. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, I love that they had original movies at Christmas because I always love the little cheesy Christmas romantic comedies. I love those. So I was really excited when they came out with some of their own at Christmas, and so I was able to kind of watch those because since we don't have television, I don't get Hallmark. So I can't watch all the Hallmark movies.
I know, and it's so sad because they have so many. But yeah, it's really cool that Netflix has options. I know like The Christmas Prince, which was like their big one last year, is going to have a sequel this fall. So that'll be great.
Oh, that's really good. But comedy is a great way to unwind. So I know they've got a lot of stand-up comics on there too, and they're starting to have their own specials. Like they had the Jerry Seinfeld special, was really good. It was really funny, and so we enjoyed watching that. And they have several. Gabriel Iglesias is another comedian.
I love him. Yeah, he's funny. Well, Kristi, we are actually almost out of time. But before I let you go, how do readers find out more about you and stay connected with you?
They can go to KristiAnnHunter.com and they can get links to join my newsletter or to find me on social media. I'm usually hanging out on Facebook or on Instagram. On Facebook, I have a little reader group of people who like to book chat and talk about weird things that we find on the internet and things like that. And it's called Kristi Ann Hunter's Good Little Readers. So they can come and join me there, and we will just talk about all the funny things that we run into in life and books that we read, and it's a great time.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, Kristi Ann, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, and congratulations again on A Defense of Honor, and I cannot wait to read the next one in the series.
Well, thank you. I can't wait to share it. I'm so excited to share this series. I've been working on it for a while, and I'm so glad that it's finally out.
I'd like to extend my thanks to Kristi Ann Hunter for joining me today. You can find A Defense of Honor anywhere books are sold. Thank you to REVELL Books and Bethany House for their continued support of the podcast. Make sure you stop by freshfiction.com to find out more about Kristi and any other REVELL and Bethany House authors. We're still growing, so please help us out by subscribing and rating the podcast, leaving a comment, or even just sharing it on social media. You can find us on Twitter as Fresh Fiction, Instagram as Fresh Fiction, or on Facebook. Until next time, happy reading.